Ahoy! James Cameron's Avatar, a hell of a movie. I remember when it released back in 2009, my dad took me to go see it, and it was an incredible experience. We both loved the movie, and I think the following year or something they re-released it in theaters with a bunch more extra content, and we both went to go see it again. I love this movie. I think it's fantastic, a visual spectacle, and a true epic. However, I remember when I went to school, my classmates and even my teacher weren't a fan of it, calling its plot unoriginal. And sure, while it's not the most original plot, but with every formula there are constants and there are also variables, and the variables kicked ass. It was this moment in my life how I learned that people will hate on something just because it's popular. But anyway, back to the movie. It was a gigantic success and became the highest grossing movie of all time, and still is. It got dethroned there a bit by Avengers Endgame, but that's because that movie pulled some bullshit where it re-released in theaters just to bump up the numbers. But you see, unlike Avatar that when it re-released it added an hour's worth of extra content, Endgame just added one dumbass scene of Smart Hulk. Now do I really care about all that? No. Because at the end of the day, between Avatar and Endgame, the real winner is Zoe Saldana. Now why do I mention all this? Because I really don't care about Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. I don't hate it. I think it's fine. I think most people online have the same sentiment. Yeah, I got nothing. Let's just get to it. Frontiers of Pandora starts with some exposition explaining that we are a group of young Na'vi that were kidnapped by the RDA and are being schooled by them to act as ambassadors to try to better the relationship between the indigenous and humans. This can only go well. But it all starts to go sour as tragedy strikes, a time jump hits, I run out of milk, we are put into cryostasis before being let out years later by the Na'vi insurrection. And you know, if there's one thing I took from this intro, it's how goddamn long it is. It's been 10 minutes of just watching a cutscene. Like, the entire intro sequence is so long that I had time to go buy more milk. Now, I get it. World building, backstory, introducing the characters, setting the mood. But if you want to properly do a prolonged intro, at least have there be some kinda in medias res to kick things off before doing all this slow stuff. Look to Uncharted 4. It started with us in an epic scenario before taking up 3 chapters to set up some storylines. But anyway, we escape the facility and finally make our way onto Pandora. We find and join a rebel base, but as the plot progresses, we end up finding our way to joining a tribe and making our way through becoming one of the people as we take the fight to the RDA. It's the exact plot you expect it to be. If you surveyed 100 people about what the plot of this game is, 99% will say it's about humans versus the Na'vi, and they will be completely right, because that's what the franchise is. And, you know, maybe there'll be one outlier who says the game's about some tree that's just a total asshole.
Dickhead.
Visually, good AWOL Frontiers of Pandora looks so f***ing gorgeous. It doesn't shock me how good the game looks. Like, imagine a video game released in 2023 about Pandora not looking great. That would have been a fumble and a half. Massive Entertainment did an incredible job bringing James Cameron's world of Avatar to life. The forest looks incredible. It's so detailed with such remarkable fauna, and the game does a great job emphasizing the bioluminescence of the environments that the movies introduced us to. And it was nice being in the forest and not having allergies kick my ass. I was especially giddy whenever we were near those plants that retract whenever you go near them. I found myself having the same kiddish fun running through them the way Jake Sully did in the movie. Something else worth noting is how drastically different the environment becomes once you enter RDA zones. How all the colors starts to disappear and it really starts to look drab. This honestly looks more like Advanced Warfare. That contrast is nicely done and is in theme of what the movies are going for. You know, nature good, human bad. That's probably my biggest takeaway from Frontiers of Pandora. The world is magnificent. Whether you're running through the woods or high up near that flying island, the game is breathtaking. But let's get to the gameplay, and oh man, I'm so underwhelmed by it. It was in the first 45 minutes of playing Frontiers of Pandora that I figured out what kind of game it is, and consequently, lost all my excitement in it. Frontiers of Pandora is another one of those games. It's an open world, and if you watched any of my previous videos, then you know I don't care for these types of games, mostly because it's all the same to me. Big open world, a whole bunch of empty f***ing space, endless resource hunting, crafting, skill trees, armor upgrades, weapon enhancements, a big emphasis on story even though most of it's given to you via world building from badly animated NPCs, side quests just for some stupid trinkets, the ability to hold more sticks to make arrows than holding actual arrows. I'm not saying any of this is necessarily bad, I'm just saying, why does every game feel the need to do this? Like, I don't feel like I'm playing anything unique here. I feel like I've seen this exact same f***ing menu every f***ing time. And here, in Frontiers of Pandora, it just feels forced. Crafting explosive arrows? At no point did the Na'vi use it in either of the films. Ah yes, I play as a Na'vi, a culture of being mostly nude. Totally makes sense having an armor system. Speaking of unnecessary, the game lets you create your own character. The customization gives you such minimal options, which isn't an actual complaint in and of itself. But the problem is that there's no point to it because the game's in first person. Even the main story cutscenes are told in this perspective. And before anyone tries correcting me, yes, the game does jump to third person whenever you ride an Ikran or Dire Horse, but the camera is so far back you barely see your character. At some point my game bugged and it doesn't even load my character model in the armor menu. It doesn't bother me, I barely see him anyway, so if anything, this feels authentic. I'm still trying to find what the reasoning for this could possibly be of customizing a character that you will never see. I just hate that this is what the game is. Like, so much work went into making this probably the most visually incredible game of 2023, just to have it be paired with jerky and bad looking animation because the game insists on being like every other big title. Like, I'm just playing Horizon Zero Dawn again, but the people are all now blue. If I was green, I would die.
You know, I'm seeing some irony right now. I used to defend the movie from people saying it's the same unoriginal plot from other movies, and here I am critiquing the game for being the same unoriginal format as other games. Formulas, constants, variables. How do I explain myself out of this one? Well, here's the thing. I don't care to. I don't have the energy because these games suck the life out of me. How it usually goes is I try to hard-head it and just stay on the main plot line, but then the game starts to insist that you do these side quests, so I start trying to knock out all these side quests, and then I just get bored roaming around a big open world. It happened with Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost of Tsushima, here, and God of War. But God of War is an exception because this one I powered through and finished. But as I said in the video I made for it, it's only because of Kratos being such a captivating character. If it was literally anybody else, I wouldn't have given a fuck about it. I hate this genre of games, but I do get why they're popular, so I know they're not going away. But it is leading me to start feeling the burnout, so I'm just gonna do my best to get through this on autopilot until I'm sick of it.
So I know I went on a bit of a tangent, so let's focus back. While this game falls into a formula, what are the variables that differentiate it from other games in the genre?
Nothing!
Well, we have this Na'vi sense that we use to help us highlight anything we can interact with. It's just a more tunnel vision version of the survival instinct from the recent Tomb Raider games. It's not really that useful as it doesn't highlight some things until you're right on it. I actually like the platforming the game has. It's extremely rare for me to enjoy first-person platforming, but in Avatar, it wasn't bad. It has a lot of plants that bounce us or launch us, which gives some creative level design. And the controls are pretty responsive. BT dubs another nod to the movie is that if you have a long fall, you can break it by sliding down these leaves. That's great. Combat is fine. You can use either bows and arrows or guns, like Tomb Raider. The game really emphasizes on stealth as most of your intense combat encounters are in these RDA facilities you try to shut down, and they are crawling with enemies in mecha suits, and if you have a bunch on you, it's a great way to die. We have a stamina meter, and gosh, my stamina meter for complaining about stamina meters is getting low. We replenish it only by eating food, and you want to replenish your stamina because it's the only way to replenish your health. I hate it, let's move on. I like that anytime we hack a device, we play a little mini-game. It reminds me a little of Bioshock. The game's soundtrack is pretty stellar and feels in line to the movie's score. What else? There was a moment where we got to play as a bug. Empire Ants will have to wait for my attention now. Anytime you pick fruit, you gotta carefully press down on the trigger and use the stick to pull it in a certain direction. It's kinda neat, and it reminded me of how the PS5 triggers have these context-sensitive clicks, and it was cool at first, but gets annoying when you gotta do it every time. And you can't just rip it because if you harm the plant, it can affect the effectiveness of the resource. But wait, the weather conditions also affect the effectiveness of the resource. And if you are near an RDA facility, all the nearby resources are polluted and unusable until you take out that facility. And by the way, if you really want to live off the land and hunt for food, there are also steps to the process to get the best resources. Let me describe it to you in a flowchart.
You must first ask, did you kill it with a gun? If yes, then it's not a clean kill, which leads to bad pickups. If you didn't kill it with a gun and used your arrow, did you one-shot it by hitting a weak point? If not, then it's not a clean kill, resources compromised. But if you did hit its weak point, did you quickly approach it and use a prompt to mercifully put it down? If not, then it wasn't a merciful death, which also leads to compromised resources. But if you did one-shot it and quickly press the prompt, then you'll get the best possible loot. I fucking love flowcharts, guys.
And I'm done! I have actively reached the point where I don't care to play anymore!
I'm sorry, this might not have been the most in-depth old look I've done, but gosh, I really can't stress how much these types of games bore me. And with Avatar, it truly disappoints me because I loved Avatar the movie so much. When my girlfriend and I started living together, she said she never watched the movie, so I started showing it to her. Thing is, I used to work a late job and came home during the wee hours of the night. She'd wait and we'd start watching, but again, it's late, so she'd only get through about 20 to 30 minutes before falling asleep. And I would end up finishing it by myself. The next night, it's the same thing. We'd pick up from where she last remembered and get through another 20 to 30 minutes before she knocks out again, and I rewatch it again from that point. I ended up watching the movie 6 times that week, and the movie kicked ass every time. I love it. And that is why I was really looking forward to jumping into Frontiers of Pandora and was crushed to see it's just another version of a format I'm exhausted by. And you know what? This is a format I'm constantly running into whenever I play a big title on Xbox or PlayStation. Maybe that's why I'm a Nintendo fanboy, because every time I jump between major Nintendo titles, I'm actively playing different games. With Frontiers of Pandora, objectively, I can say it's fine. The best thing I can give it is that it's visually impressive. But when it comes to other aspects, I just don't care enough to actually dissect it. All I can say is that it doesn't seem to have its own unique shticks that differentiate it from other games. Some people online also thought the game was just fine. It was Kotaku Australia that said it was the okayest game in 2023. I'm just gonna go ahead and steal that quote.
Which to me was the best part of the whole experience, seeing people be underwhelmed by the same goddamn game. Makes me wonder if we might be looking at a shift in the industry soon. Probably not. But with Frontiers of Pandora, I honestly think I would have been better off just playing that game from 2009. Here, I can appreciate that it distracted me for a couple days while I wait for something else to be released, but I no longer have any interest to keep playing it. And I still have a whole week before what I want to play next comes out. So in the meantime... Oh yeah, this is so much better.
I think you might be losing it.